All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're taking a close look at a book that really got us thinking.
Hilary Nwokeabia's Why the Industrial Revolution Bypasses Africa, a knowledge systems perspective.
It was published back in 2010, but man, his insights are still so relevant today.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Really makes you wonder, you know, what were we all thinking back then? Big shout out to Nwokeabia for being ahead of the curve.
Absolutely.
And of course, huge thanks to the team for the fantastic report on this. You guys really outdid yourselves.
It's a fascinating topic.
So this book tackles a question that's been bugging people for a while. Why hasn't Africa had that kind of massive industrial boom we've seen in other parts of the world, right?
Right. Europe, Asia, they've all had their revolutions.
Exactly. And then Wokabia, he doesn't just look at the usual suspects like, oh, economics, politics.
No, he goes deeper.
He digs into something he calls knowledge systems. So break it down for us. What's the deal with these knowledge systems?
Well, and Wakibia's argument is that the way knowledge is created and shared and used in Africa, it's been pretty isolated. Kind of like each person, each community doing their own thing.
So it's not like a free flow of ideas and information like we might see in other places.
Exactly. And that makes it really tough to build those big collaborative networks that have fueled industrial revolutions elsewhere. Think of it like this. You know how in the tech world you've got open source software where everyone's contributing?
Yeah, everyone's building on each other's work.
Right. Constant innovation because everyone's sharing.
A collective brain, almost.
That's a great way to put it. But in Africa, a lot of the traditional knowledge, like craft skills, farming techniques, it's been passed down through families, small communities.
Generation to generation.
Exactly. And that's super valuable, don't get me wrong, but it can create these little pockets of knowledge.
Like a puzzle where all the pieces are scattered.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to put that puzzle together and get the full picture when everything's so fragmented.
So it's not just about having the resources or the smarts. It's about how that knowledge moves through society. Or doesn't.
Exactly. And Nwokeabia really challenges this idea that Africa just needs more money or aid to catch up. He's saying, hold on, we need to look at these knowledge structures. How are they actually functioning? Because that's a huge piece of the puzzle.
Okay, I'm with you so far, but give me an example. What does this isolated knowledge thing actually look like in the real world? Make it real for me.
Okay, picture this. You've got this brilliant inventor.
Right.
You're living in a rural village, and they come up with this amazing new irrigation technique. It could be a game changer.
Life-changing for their community.
Absolutely. But there's no system in place to share that knowledge widely, so it stays within that village. No patents, no one outside that community benefits, and no one builds upon that idea. It's just lost potential.
That's heartbreaking, actually.
It is, and think about how different that is from, say, the internet.
Right, where you can just post an idea and boom, millions of people can see it.
Exactly. That kind of open sharing is what drives innovation, but it's often missing in these more isolated knowledge systems.
Okay, so now I'm really starting to see the problem. But let's fast forward to today. Fourth Industrial Revolution. AI, big data, all that. Africa's already facing this knowledge sharing hurdle. So how can it possibly keep up in this crazy tech-driven world? What does Nwokeabia say about that?
Well, that's where Nwokeabia's book gets even more interesting. He doesn't just point fingers and say, hey, you're doing it wrong. He actually offers solutions. He's like, hey, here's what we can do about it.
Okay, give me some hope here.
For example, he's a huge advocate for digital literacy, making sure everyone has access to technology and knows how to use it.
Leveling the playing field.
Exactly, and making tech education more accessible. He's also all about promoting open source software, so everyone can contribute, everyone benefits, and he talks about creating more collaborative research programs, bringing people together from different backgrounds, different countries to work on solving problems together.
So it's about building bridges, right?
Yes.
Not just within Africa, but connecting with the global community.
Absolutely. And he even points to models like the tech clusters in Asia. Like in Shenzhen, you have all these companies, universities, research institutions, all clustered together. They're sharing ideas, resources, talent. That proximity, that constant interaction, it's a breeding ground for innovation.
So it's about creating that kind of buzz, that energy, but in an African context.
Exactly.
It's about shifting the mindset, right? From hoarding knowledge to spreading it. From isolation to synergy, creating an ecosystem where innovation can actually flourish.
You got it. That's the heart of Nwokeabia's vision. Imagine a network of these tech hubs all across Africa, buzzing with young entrepreneurs, collaborating on open source projects. That's the kind of future he sees. And he sees it as essential not just for economic growth, but for sustainable development in a world that's more interconnected than ever.
It's a really inspiring vision, and I love how Nwokeabia doesn't just diagnose the problem, he actually gives us a roadmap for change. It's like, okay, here are the steps we can take.
Yeah, it's a call to action.
And speaking of action, this is where it gets real for me. For all of us, really. If open knowledge systems are so crucial for Africa's future in this tech-driven world, what role can each of us play in making that happen? What can individuals, organizations, governments do? What's our part in building this more inclusive, collaborative knowledge landscape?
That is the question, isn't it? Nwokeabia leaves us with that challenge, but he gives us a starting point. Think about how you, in your own life, can support open knowledge. Maybe it's donating to organizations that are promoting digital literacy in Africa. Maybe it's advocating for more open source solutions in your workplace. Maybe it's just being more aware of how you share and access information yourself. Every little bit counts.
It's about changing the culture, right?
It really is. And it starts with each of us.
So maybe the key is to stop focusing on what Africa lacks. Instead, let's focus on what it has in abundance: intellectual capital, creativity, a hunger to learn, and find ways to unlock that potential through collaboration and these open knowledge systems.
Absolutely. Nwokeabia really flips the script. He challenges us to see Africa not as a continent that needs saving, but as this incredible source of innovation that's just waiting to be unleashed.
And that's a powerful message.
It is.
Thank you so much for joining us today. This deep dive into Nwokabie's work has been amazing. It's left me feeling really hopeful, really excited about what the future holds for Africa in this tech-driven world.
I feel the same way. It's a bright future.
It really is. And for everyone listening, keep those wheels turning. What's your part in this story? What can you do to support this incredible movement towards open knowledge and innovation in Africa? Until next time.
See you then.